the hospital for days.
The only ingredient in the fake pills was bromazolam. Tia Ewing is in Studio 32 to explain it. What is the message from the Illinois Department of Public Health and the CDC about it, Tia?
Well, Dawn and also Scott, naloxone. This is the warning. It won't work for this illegal substance. It's not approved for human use by any regulatory agency. The 3 people who were found unresponsive 8 hours after taking these fake pills should be thankful to be alive. Fake Xanax pills nearly claimed the lives of 2 25-year-old men and a 20-year-old woman in the south suburbs of Chicago. They were found unresponsive and rushed to the ER. Their blood was tested and the presence of bromazolam was detected without the presence of fentanyl or any other opioid.
We are seeing it all across the country, but particularly here in Illinois.
Bromazolam is a designer drug that has never been approved for human use in the U.S. or anywhere else. The 3 young adults had uncontrollable seizures. Medical measures to control them didn't work. Their hearts were thrown out of rhythm and temperatures skyrocketed. And naloxone didn't work either.
All 3 patients were critically ill, required a breathing machine and life support in the ICU at one point.
The 20-year-old woman was in a coma for quite some time. Data from the Illinois Department of Public Health reveals bromazolam-involved deaths increased from 10 in 2021 to 51 in 2022.
15 to 20% of cases we're now seeing bromazolam by itself as occurred here. And unfortunately, it seems like it can be life-threatening in both situations, either in combination with something like fentanyl or if taken by itself.
Now, at the time of release from the hospital, 1 patient had hearing loss and had other issues as well. 1 also had issues with communicating. In some cases, the damage can be irreversible. Live tonight, Tia Ewing, Fox 32 Chicago.
Wow. Wow. That
It's so sad to
is
hear.
something that's hitting the streets apparently. You know, just when we hear about fentanyl, we hear of carfentanil, which is rare. We're hearing about xylazine that also does not work with Narcan. And we have now the bromazolam that doesn't work with naloxone either. So it falls under the drugs that don't respond to Narcan, which is xylazine is the only other one that I know of. And this is something new. And this is one of the reasons why I'm part of drug-induced homicide, because there's always a new drug. There's going to always be, especially with these people who think they're chemists. We're seeing more and more different types of drugs out there that parents, grandparents, and people that have a substance use disorder, they need to know about this. We tell people that you're safe with Narcan, it's okay. You know, we give them 2, 3, and 4 boxes of naloxone, and this drug apparently does not respond to naloxone. So I remember when nobody
If I could chime in.
Go ahead.
Sometimes it takes 6 or 8 naloxone to even bring somebody back. Sometimes 1 or 2 doesn't work. I've seen cases where it's taken at least 6 or 8.
Right. And when I see the fire department come through here, I live in Sacramento, California. They're throwing down boxes, and it's like 4, 5, and 6, and sometimes 11. You know, it just depends on how much fentanyl is in their system. But it's just a matter of time before they get a rash of this new drug that was just played for us, and they're going to be throwing out Narcan, and it's not going to work, and there is going to be like, what the heck is that, you know? And so then right now, as far as I know, it's not scheduled. It's not a scheduled illegal substance. Not that I know of. And we're talking about this new bromazolam.
It is hitting our streets, and it is alarming. Here in Columbus, it is So many drugs. The xylazine is in heroin, fentanyl. It's so bad. But and this right here, what they're talking about right now, it's in pressed. It's pressed. It's fake pills, and that right now is what so is alarming right now. Is that this is being, it's everywhere. This
Right.
is on our streets as we speak. Narcan is not working.
And apparently, what they're doing is they're mismarketing it. It's not on the schedule, but if you mismarket something, what happens is you can be arrested for that. Like if somebody says, I am selling you a Reese's candy bar and it's something else laced with weed or something else, you can go to jail for that, especially if it gets in the hands of children. But what they're doing is they're pressing it, they're mismarketing, they're pressing it to look like al alpra I can't pronounce it, al
Alprazolam,
alprazolam. Yes.
yeah,
And yeah, and they put it in the shape of Xanax. So they are mismarketing it as Xanax as well. And so yeah, it's a counterfeit drug. It's a counterfeit drug. And they're cracking down on counterfeit drugs.
they absolutely, they absolutely have to. At this point, the way things are right now, something more, it just has to be done, especially with these fake pills. Uh, people think they're buying a Percocet, they're buying a Valium, they're buying a Xanax, the Omnipros, Alapros, Pam. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I cannot pronounce it as well. But again, these are things that are not working. Narcan is not reviving because of the fentanyl, the xylazine that is in it right now. And this
Right.
this xylazine is so bad. Uh, just like Nikki just said, it is absolutely in everything. It's in everything. And when
I lost
5,
signal.
3, 4, 5, 6 Narcans are administered and it's still not bringing people back, this is scary. And this is
Yeah.
happening. And overdose is the number one killer in the whole United States.
And if you listen to the article that was
It's sad.
just played for us, um, there's varying symptoms that people were having. It didn't take their life, but the lady was incoherent. She couldn't talk. She couldn't comprehend anything, and probably wasn't making any sense. Um, no doubt they were probably unconscious, but not. They were still alive. Narcan is out there, but it is what I call a false safety net because there are going to be new things out there that it is not going to react to. And it doesn't react to fentanyl. If you have too much fentanyl in your system and somebody is only carrying 2 or 3 boxes of naloxone, it's not going to help the person that's having that's poisoned by fentanyl. So it's just a hit and miss. And with the xylazine, people are really hooked on that, and they're shooting it up, and they're smoking it, and it's just tearing up their face, it's tearing up their arms, it's ripping apart their veins, and they still will continue to shoot. That's how addictive it is.
I was also told that naloxone only lasts for an hour and your high could come back.
I don't know if that's
I don't know
true
how
or
true
not.
that is. I was told that
I'm
by
probably.
a doctor at Children's Hospital. A very
Oh,
close
wow.
friend of mine's daughter.
Wow.
She had OD'd once, and that's what they told us.
Well,
Were you
that's
guys
interesting.
boxing
That's
or
something to do. What was that?
I'm sorry, were you guys talking about the boxing or
We were talking about naloxone, which is also
oh,
known as Narcan, Does it
Okay.
wear off over a certain amount of time and people get their high back? Is that how it works? And that was her question.
Okay, I haven't heard it called that before, but okay, so it's a form of non.
So when
I'm sorry, my signal isn't the greatest.
it's okay. It's okay. I think I can answer this. Usually within 30 to 90 minutes, you're already in the hospital. So naloxone, they call it Narcan. It's a form.
Miss Peggy, are you having signal issues? Like I can see, but I can't hear anything.
Okay, can you see me?
Can you see
Am I
Miss
okay, Miss
Cole?
Peggy?
Yes, I can see you. Nikki, can you see Miss Cole? And
Yes.
Chrissy is with us as well. Yes, everyone just introduce yourself. Well, she'll be back. Everyone welcome. Again, welcome. I am Miss Peg, and we are here healing through Autumn's Way. We are bringing awareness to addiction. We're bringing awareness to mental health in the hopes to help any and everyone that is struggling with addiction or mental health, that we can and we will help them in any way we can, get them into rehabs and facilities. And I just want to thank everyone for being here with us every Tuesday night, doing what we do. And that is just, giving love, spreading love, and letting everyone know that they are not alone. They are not going through what they are going through alone. And that's why we are here. And we have been doing this. I want to thank DJ Be Lethal for all of his hard work each and every week, for everything that he does for
Thank
Autumn's
you.
Way Through, for the platforms that he has built, with LLR, Linda's Legacy, Ohio radio stations. Like I said, here at Autumn's Way, we are a community platform. This is for everyone. We are here again to help. We help a lot, and we have a lot of information. And that's what we do every Tuesday night, just doing what we do and helping and helping. And we're never going to stop. So go ahead, sweetheart. Everyone, introduce yourself. You can always remain anonymous. You can say your name. And that's just what we do here as well. And we do
My
have
name is
information to give out later.
Okay, thank you. My name is Marica Cole, and I'm with druginducedhomicide.org. And what we do is we help parents and loved ones with investigations when somebody has overdosed. We know that these are poisonings, and it's illegal to sell and possess fentanyl, or illegal drugs that kill, actually. So what we do is we just make sure that the laws are protecting those victims that have been victimized by fentanyl, and making sure that arrests are made if the law is broken. So it's real important to understand that when somebody dies of fentanyl, it is not an overdose. It is a poisoning, because fentanyl is not the same fentanyl that you get in medical grade in the hospital. This is manufactured in labs. It's illegal to own, or possess. It's illegal to sell, and it's killing people. Let's face it, a lot of people are dying. And so we are trying to stop the scourge by saying, hey, you know what? If you're going to be selling fentanyl, you deserve to get the time if you kill somebody, just like you would if you for murder or homicide. So that's what I do. We talk about addiction, and we talk about the different various drugs out there. We talk about how important it is for naloxone, also known as Narcan. There's generic forms of naloxone out there. That's why I say naloxone, because there are cheaper forms of Narcan out there. Okay. So that's why I say naloxone, because I don't want to give credit to big pharma. And here we go again, giving credit to one one manufacturer when there's many out there that can save lives. Next intro.
Sorry, I was trying to wait till my dog's done gulping his water because he's like lapping it like and it's loud and annoying. He's over here, Mr. Lewis.
That's okay.
He's 14. He's a California Springer Spaniel. But anyways, my name is Chrissy Dredd. I've been good friends with Peggy for 12, 13 years, right?
Yes, at least 12. Yes, but we don't count years. It's just been a lifetime.
And I like to do what I can to help people. You know, I don't have foundations or anything, but support many. I have a large social platform I kind of ignore at times, especially because I've been in and out of the hospital 4 times this past month for chronic pancreatitis and a necrotizing spleen and other things. So it hasn't been very fun, kind of recovering. That's why I'm not on camera, because when you don't eat for 2 months and go outside, you don't feel like you want to be on any kind of camera. So
Thank you for being here.
You're so beautiful to us.
I love you, my Chrissy, and you know, my sister, I'm lifting you
Yes.
up every day. And we
Every
do
day.
appreciate you every day.
Well, I appreciate that too, and you guys, and just trying. Like, I had
Does that
problems.
make me next?
I got a few masses and cysts like within my pancreas and other places, so it wasn't like, I mean, the drinking didn't help, but then also when I had a lot of back problems and other things that I have wrong with me, that I was on painkillers and they put me on Suboxone, and it's a wide known study within Canada and a few other countries, but not here in the U.S., that somebody with chronic pancreatitis, it will, you know, interfere with it. It'll make it, you know, inflamed, and you'll have lots of problems. And then when I started taking it a year ago, I started getting so nauseous, like a month in, and just a lot of horrible problems. And I couldn't even eat or keep things down. Was throwing up every day. Just it got worse and worse. And then I even showed my doctor the studies about a month ago, and he's like, "I'm so sorry, Chrissy. Like, I actually had a good doctor that believed me, even though in the U.S. it's not a known thing yet." He's like, "I'm going to talk to my colleagues about this, like how, you know, it can cause this." So yeah, a lot of it was that. I mean, it does help a lot of people. I'm not saying it's a horrible thing if it can get people off other things, but they need to know, like, people with certain medical, like, already underlying medical conditions, they shouldn't give it to.
No, you're absolutely right. And they should always give you the side effects. Like if you are on this medication, you know, notify your doctor, but the doctor should already have your medication list to know whether you should have it or not. But sometimes the medical records don't communicate.
Right. It
It
wasn't
happens
studied.
more often than you think.
Like, you know how Canada has had opiate problems a lot longer than we have, and they've also had other drugs in, like, Narcan, which they distribute lots of places, needles that they distribute. They're well advanced than us because they've been dealing with this for so much longer. They're the ones who did the first study, and they've got a lot of with my doctor be like, "Oh, in the U.S. they haven't even studied that through their pharmaceutical companies," you know. So they wouldn't tell you, they wouldn't know, even no matter what medication you're on or problems in the U.S. So hopefully they get, you know, like I said, Canada's way more advanced with it.
Well, there are a lot of countries that are more advanced than we are because we have a lot of red tape surrounding medications. But, you know, they're trying to be cautious, but sometimes it gets in the way of common sense.
All right, apologies
That's
for the
right.
long.
Go ahead. Introductions. Are we done?
No,
You can speak.
No, I'll go. My name is Teresa Nicole Mabry. I prefer to be called Nikki. I've been friends with Peggy for a while. I talked about mine and my boyfriend's relationship on the show. We're both recovering addicts. I never did the fentanyl, but he did. Fortunately, he didn't die, but he did save about 20 people one year and about 18 the next. We always swore that he should be a paramedic, but some of the stuff out, like the crocodile and the xylazine and stuff like that, wasn't there, I guess, when he was doing it. He's been clean for over a year, thank goodness. But like I stated on the show a couple weeks ago, I never really knew anything about this other than fentanyl being in a patch. My aunt's biological mother passed away from eating the fentanyl out of a patch. That's the first, and only time I'd heard anything until, I got with my boyfriend. And it was
great.
a roller coaster ride. It was definitely different. So many nights laying awake, just making sure his heart was still beating. It's a big responsibility to take on. And, I grew up with a family member who was a crack addict. And my kids and I went to hell with her, or the person. And I feel like I taught my kids wrong because I never really had the understanding until I was with somebody who was on fentanyl. And it's a whole different perspective, a whole different outlook. It's really sad. I've lost many friends. I've seen many friends OD and thankfully come back, but I don't want anybody else to die. I don't want to lose nobody else. I don't have any family as it is other than my kids and my brother. But I just feel like if everybody would speak up and say something, if everybody would just pay attention, just even if it's just for one person or a 5-minute conversation or whatever the hell it is, it might make a difference. I read the other day, I didn't know this, most of the time we think our drugs come from Mexico, but I was under the impression of that. And then I read that they are also coming from China. So it's not just coming from one way, it's coming in different directions now. And you've got all these people out on the street. I don't know for the life of me why people would be so stupid to create something. I mean, it's one thing to cook meth, and now they're doing this and cutting it with this and that. I mean, who wants to kill somebody? Grow up and do something different, because you're taking people's family members away. You're taking away people's parents and kids and cousins and whatever, and it's not right. I think, my opinion, the people should get busted, and I think they should spend some time so they can learn something and they can understand that they're causing people to lose family members. It's not cool. I mean, come on, people, we're just getting too old for this shit. And excuse my language, I do cuss like a sailor, but it really makes me angry. And I'm very blessed to still have the boyfriend and him to be okay. But I'm still watching people drop all around me. And I don't know how many friends I've had recently go to rehab, and then I turn around and see them come back and they're getting high again. I ask everybody I've met on the streets, because I was homeless for a long time, what is your reason for doing it? Why do you do it? It used to be everybody say, oh, I want to be numb or, hide my pain. But I hear people laugh about it. They think it's a joke. They're sitting there telling me about how it's eating their skin and doing this and that, and they think it's funny. I don't think there's anything funny about it. And I just want to do whatever I can to help everybody out and to make sure that nobody else dies. So here I am. Whatever I can do to help, I'm here. Anybody want to talk? Like I say, if you want to talk or you want to yell at somebody or whatever it is, just let me know. I'm always available. Anything I can do to help, I'd be glad to. And I am also the ambassador of the show. I'm the resource girl. I go out and I find places where people can eat, people can get clothing, where they can shower, wash their clothes, warming stations and whatnot. And I have to give a shout out to my friend Scott and everybody at the Hope Center. I love you guys. And to my people at Jordan's Crossings, Pastor Fred, Jennifer, Donna, everybody. They're all good people. They know rehab places, Buckeye Clinic. There's so many resources out there. And if you really want to help, we're all here to help you. Don't be scared. I know a lot of people are scared, but hey, it's a first step, and you take one day at a time, just like they tell an alcoholic, one day at a time. But it's your life, so you have to be the one to choose whether you want something different, because nobody can do it for you. And I dreamed and dreamed of the day when my person was ready to give up, and thank God he did, because this stuff now is nothing like what he was doing, and he probably would have died. So just wake up, people. Just speak out, speak up, say something, do something. I don't care. Just do something. Don't just sit there and ignore it and watch these people look like zombies on the streets and make fun of them, because people make fun of them. That's not nothing to make fun of. This isn't a joke. This is real shit. When I'm almost 49 years old, I never heard of this shit growing up. Nothing was like this. This stuff is bad. And I'm tired of it being that, 'cause I have grandbabies and I don't want my grandbabies to grow up through this. So I think if we all just started helping out and working together, maybe we could make a difference. So that's me. Thanks.
Thank you for sharing that. Every time I meet somebody in the group, every Tuesday that I've been on, we're learning things from different perspectives. And that's important, to have an open mind and to understand that addiction is real. It's not something that you hear people that are uninformed and uneducated saying, well, why don't they just stop? It's not something that you can just flip a switch and say, okay,
No.
I think I'll stop today.
Right. They have to want it. Yeah.
And that's why we're here every Tuesday night, to bring awareness, to let people know who are struggling. That's why we're here, to let people know there's free information, clinics with real resources that can get them in tomorrow. And we will always hear. It's just vital to get the information out, because a lot of people don't know that there's free insurance they can get on the spot. And so that's why we're here, bringing awareness, stopping the bullying, stopping the name calling, because that's not helping anyone. And there's so many homeless. We have so many homeless here in Columbus on our street. It's everywhere. And like I said at the beginning, addiction is the #1 killer in the whole United States of America. And Miss Nikki, Chrissy, everyone, I appreciate everyone that's always here. And the information is vital that we try to give out, try to help, and just let people know we are here. They are not alone. And I truly want to thank everyone again for always sharing, for sharing everything that you share, because it does take a lot to share, to talk about, because this is discussions that a lot of people and families, they don't want to have. We also, tell people if they are still using, they are continuing to use, which this really, truly breaks my heart. Please check on any and everyone that you know that may be using anything, first off. But if they continue to use, we also would like to know as family how and where they may want to be buried. That is not an easy subject to talk about as well. But these are things that there's just a lot of things that must be talked about. And so we do try to bring everything out as much as we can. Miss Nikki, Chrissy, everyone that is always here is truly greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
You're so welcome, my sweetheart. And congratulations again on your apartment. I'm so happy for you.
It's not the same without him here, though. That's a different story.
I know, baby. I know, sweetheart.
Miss Peggy, I want to say, when I was growing up, my mother was a very private person, and there's a lot of things that she didn't talk about. And I know that there's a lot of parents and family members out there who are embarrassed or who don't know how to talk about it or don't know how to talk to their kids. Don't be scared. Don't be afraid for somebody to know, because the whole world is doing something. Everybody has a flaw, and we love these people no matter what our flaws are. And this just happens to be some of our flaws. Um, just because we are drug addicts or recovering addicts or whatever you want to call us doesn't mean that we're bad people and that we don't have a heart or feelings. You know, you can't just make somebody stop. And people, I really need you to understand, you cannot put stipulations on somebody. You can't give them ultimatums. You can't make anybody stop. They have to want it. Maybe you could give them a good reason. Um, yeah, you could try it, but don't ignore it. You have to talk about it. You have to talk. Go get help. Go to somebody. Just talk to somebody, please. I don't want nobody else to die, especially people that I'm close to or that I love and care about. And, you know, when I go to these church services I go to, I pray for everybody. I pray for everybody, even the kids at St. Jude's and the homeless people and stuff. But I was a homeless person. And I'll tell you, being homeless, it's a whole hell of a lot easier to get high than it is not to. And it's there. It's right there in everybody's face, in every damn corner that you turn, especially on the west side of Columbus. I know they come from different sides of town to bring it down to the west side, because they always say the west side is the best side. But just don't be scared. Just like with mental health and addiction and suicide, people say, "I don't want to hear this. I don't want to talk about it." You have to talk about it, because if you don't, you can't save nobody's life. 5 people they call before they commit suicide, and if nobody answers, it's a wrap. You're gonna get that phone call, and you're gonna wish that you would have picked up that phone. So, drugs, anything else, it's no different. You've got to talk about it. Talk about it with your kids. Stress it to your kids. I'm very blessed. I had 3 beautiful girls. I do have 1 baby girl in heaven. I have 3 here. And I did talk to my kids. I tried to change the pattern, and I talked and I talked and talked till I was blue in the face. My best friend in high school was murdered. And I stressed that to my kids. I made them watch the news. I made them watch these TV shows. I didn't care what it was, because they needed to know. You can't hide it from them and think, oh, one day we'll have a conversation like you would about sex. This is real shit, and you need to talk about it with everybody. So don't be closed-minded. Don't think it can't happen to you or someone you love, because it happens to everybody. It's like cancer. It isn't prejudice. It goes to everybody. So please, people,
Amen.
just talk about it, have a conversation. Just try. Trying is half the battle, right? Don't give up.
Yes,
Never
it
give up.
is.
They may steal from you. They may take everything you have, but never give up on them, because that's the thing. When people give up, they don't
And
come back.
good. Oh, yeah. It's like you can't just put somebody in a, down and just, give up on them and say, oh, they're never going to amount to anything, never gonna do anything. When every one of us has our faults and our addictions,
Yep.
whether it's food or whatever, coffee, anything. But a lot of them are more deadly. Okay? But still, like, it's like if you think down somebody what they're going through, and they need the most help of all, because when they're not there, you're going to regret it.
Yeah. You're going to wish you would, and nobody wants to wish you would.
And I
You
can
know,
tell you that 100. Go ahead.
every time I met somebody on the street, I ask, and some people are like, oh my God, you asked them that? Well, yeah, because that's how you find out things, and that's what I do. And I go out and I talk to people, and I see their reasonings. And, like I had a friend, her daughter was out on the street for like 13 years, and thank God she wasn't using Fetty, it was something different. But she said so many nights that she would sit down there and wait to see her daughter pop up. The girls would just jump in her car to get warm, and they would say, I wish I had a mom that cared about me. I wish I had a mom that would be out here looking for me. Even though we're addicts, we have to know that we're still loved, that we're still cared about, and that people will support, they don't support what we do, but they support us as a human. And you got to have a heart, because there's a lot of heartless people out there nowadays. And
Addiction, I have to say this, addiction does not define the person.
no, ma'am.
And the stigma needs to stop, because
Yeah.
if an addict
Yes,
is
it
out
does.
there,
Yes.
absolutely, because I can tell you, I know people that have lost their children, and they were aware that their children had addictions, and their drug of choice may have been heroin or meth or cocaine, something different, but the parent would be very surprised to see 100% fentanyl in their system that they've never mentioned, because some of these kids are very open to their parents about what they do. Well, I don't even like that. I only like meth, or I only like, a certain drug. And I think I mentioned it before. One of the ladies that I know has a sister and somebody's daughter as well. um, they clearly in their phone said, oh, I need some heroin, and they ended up getting a needle full of fentanyl, 100% fentanyl, and died. So that case has been prosecuted, and that person was counterfeiting drugs. It could be drugs on the street or whatever, but they didn't judge her addiction, which I was so glad they didn't just say, oh, well, that's just an addict that died from their addiction. The prosecution looked at it like, this is not what she asked for. She asked for this and ended up getting fentanyl. So that is counterfeiting. And now they're changing the stigma of how they look at addiction. And I give it to them. Some of these prosecutors and legislative bodies are looking at differently, because what drug induced homicide does, we change the language, we change the platform of drugs and how it's looked at. These are poisonings, these are not overdoses. They have no knowledge that they have it in their system.
That's
And I
true.
was telling Miss Peggy, it's just like me. If I go and I'm an alcoholic and I go to a bar, well, maybe I shouldn't be in the bar because I'm an alcoholic. But if I order a vodka and get something tainted in that vodka, it's poison, and I die, there's going to be an investigation. But what happens
There
with
should be.
authority, they look at an addict and say, oh, that's just another overdose.
There's a
And
very
I
That is
yeah.
and I
We're
don't know
statistic.
how it is in
Yeah.
I'm in California. And it's tough. We've got some really lopsided laws here that some of them don't make sense. But I can tell you that it's our job as advocates, and you're an advocate too. Everyone in this room is an advocate. It's up to us to show them that addiction is not something that you can control and just turn off and on.
Right.
It When you find
Exactly.
somebody that's overdosed or was poisoned with fentanyl, make sure it wasn't homicide as well, because we know for a fact that people are also killing people with fentanyl because they know it won't be investigated. Everyone's going to
Right.
look at the addict as if it was an overdose and somebody got away with murder. So
Yep.
we're changing the landscape, and that's why we call it drug induced homicide, because it's drug induced and it killed. So how'd they get it?
It's true.
That's the question. It's like,
Yes.
yeah. So addiction to me is something um, that needs to be dealt with, and it's multifaceted because it comes with um, what I call a mental health issue. It could have started with a mental health issue, some anxiety, depression, traumatic experience, something like
Yes.
that. And sometimes it starts with peer pressure and you wanting to please the people that you're around, so you use to try to fit
Want
in,
to fit in.
and then it causes schizophrenia. It does the opposite. You go into paranoia or schizophrenia and bring on mental health issues. So it can work both ways, and we're trying to educate the people that judge, and you see it on social media all the time, bullying and telling people, well, you could just stop. Why don't you just stop using drugs? And it's
It don't work
annoying.
like
I
that.
can tell you, it's annoying,
Yes.
but they're out there.
The same thing with alcohol all the time, and that's the first thing anyone can use against you is if you have a drinking problem, which is a lot easier to get than any street drug or anything else if you are an alcoholic. And I'll admit myself, I have the last few years. The first time anyone gets mad at you, or they're going to use that against you, or you're just an alcoholic, or this or that, or you know, it's the same thing, and that's just another addiction, but it's the same thing with any like an opiate addiction or anything, like using it against a person or blaming them like they could do better. Like, I don't do it, why do you? Like, that's
Right.
putting your
That just
above
makes
somebody.
them feel worse about themselves.
It's not
That's
gonna help.
downing and dogging somebody.
Or like, you don't need to
Nobody
do so
wants
much
that.
to control somebody instead of supporting them and be like, well, you can do this, and like, especially if they say they want to, helping them and doing what you can to support them, being there for
You
them
have
when
to
they're having a
try
hard.
and understand them.
And rehab facilities need to understand too to never give up, because you can go in and out of rehab several times, and sometimes it takes the light to turn on for yourself. Nobody can do it for you. That you just decide, you know what? I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And then you just make that decision yourself. It's still a struggle. It's not like a light switch that went on and said, oh, I'm going to stop today. It's never
Right.
like that.
It's
And
usually very
It's
in
damn.
always going to be
California,
there.
yes, it's always going to be there. There's always going to be a circle of people that you're going to come across, and you have to tell yourself, you know what, not today. I'm going to keep
Right.
going my path, and being there for my kids, my grandchildren, or whoever it is, whatever reason it is that you decide to quit. But
Yeah.
some of these rehab facilities do kick people out of rehab because they're not with their program, and they need to
Right.
understand that this will happen. People will fall off the wagon, and I hate that word because it sounds really bad, but they will relapse and they will make mistakes, and everybody makes mistakes, and they need to just accept it and not ban you from a program because it was your second or third time. So
Especially when
I just
You
wanted to
know,
chime in on that.
you
you
learn
know
to
what
do
else too?
it
I was,
a certain
I'm
way.
sorry. Hey, go ahead and I'll talk when you're done.
I was just gonna say, like, you learn to deal with like things like how you grow up, and how you see everybody act around you, and a lot of like grew up in with addiction, and like I did, and, like, I learned to see how, like, when my parents were stressed, how they acted, or when they were partying, having fun, with friends, and that kind of like and me and my I've noticed, like, with trying to stop alcohol, when I get really stressed out or wherever, or feel like my blood pressure's too high, I'm like, oh, I just need to have a drink to calm down. It's like a thing in my head that's programmed, and a lot of it is learned behavior. And a lot of people learn their behavior too because they're trying to escape certain things they don't want to think about. And when they start thinking about it, they get, whatever,
Right.
agitated, and they want to do whatever it is just to stop that because it's pain. Like, mental pain is just as bad as physical pain, sometimes worse, a lot worse.
And you
It's like
know,
it's so weird.
if you go to a treatment facility, a lot of them now are doing dual diagnosis because if you have mental disorders and you do not get help with your mental stuff, relapse is just bound to happen. And I read that, and I was looking into rehabs for the boyfriend, and he does go to the Buckeye Clinic, and he's doing great. But anytime you have mental illness and it's not addressed, it's bound to happen. They said it could just be from the triggers, and some of these rehabs, they're trying to teach you some of the triggers and how to cope with them and things like that. But you got to think about, there's a lot of triggers out there. There's a lot of stress. I mean, the world is just in turmoil as it is,
A
and
lot of it,
everybody's going through it. Yeah. So
and living situations, stuff we can't avoid. Like, there's so
yeah,
much unhealthy environments, and get away from an addiction is really hard when you're living day to day in a really bad place, and that makes it really hard. And with people homeless, everything, it's like okay, I
Yeah.
get so and everything, it's already falling apart, and it just feels hopeless. So it's like sometimes you just have to get away from everyone, everything, if you really want to
Yep.
change for yourself.
And
And
sometimes it could be and that could include some of the people that is closest to you that you wouldn't think that you'd have to get away from, but you got to do what you got to do for your own mental health. But this is
yeah,
what I
keep
was
'em out of
talking about
business.
with the dual diagnosis is we have to know how to manage those triggers. If something triggers
Right.
you, what is your escape from that particular situation at that moment? And that's where behavioral therapy for dual diagnosis, treating your addiction as well as treating the triggers or anxiety that or things that bring it on, to get those out in the open so that you know how to handle those triggers. Because some people get triggered, but they're not even aware what those triggers are. They don't know.
Right.
They
Right.
just it will trigger them to say, I need to escape this and I need to go use. And so they are totally unaware of what their triggers are. So that's where behavioral therapy and just learning about yourself and learning what causes you to do whatever it is you do, whether it's my son used to twirl his hair, and I'm like, well, I wonder what's causing that. Is it some type of trigger? Why is he doing this? Why is he doing that? And for those of you who don't know, in this group, my son passed away in
Sorry to hear that.
2021.
Um,
He was, yeah, he was given carfentanil, which is rare. It's 100 times more potent than fentanyl, and they
Yes.
gave it to him in a drink form. So they couldn't get him to smoke it. They couldn't get him to do anything other than he drinks from Jamba Juice. He always wants to go to Starbucks, and they had his Cash App card. They had his Cash App card, and he has older brothers. My oldest son's 42, and this guy was older than my son, and he was going to tell his brothers because they took his Cash App card. They took clothes that nice clothes that he had, shoes, skateboard, and he was trying to get his stuff back, and he was starting to make noise like autistic people do, start banging on the door, wanting his stuff
Yeah.
back. And apparently a couple of people had warrants and they just couldn't have that. And I think that's what happened. They just figured it's safer for them, yeah, to say, because they know that it's not going to be investigated, which is true up to a certain point.
the
I
drugs,
now
they just write it off as either suicide or drugs in some of these cases where you can clearly see there's foul play, and you just know it, you feel it. And I've even have family members who die like that, and it's very sad that they'll just
and
look at it. As somebody was less. If they were a drug, if it was from a drug, they look at them as less. They're not as important. If somebody doesn't have a lot of money, whatever, or it's stuck for drugs. You know.
and he had his own money, but that's why they had his Cash App card, because they were taking his money. But that's why I'm saying there's a lot of vulnerable people in the street, and you don't know which ones were they killed because they were going to talk about, hey, they're taking my money. They need to rule out homicide. They have to stop looking at people as addicts and looking at them as victims of
Yeah.
fentanyl poisoning. That's what
We're
they
in
are.
life statistics.
And
Yes.
and they tried to open and close. They tried to open and close my son's case, and I said, wait a minute, I'm his conservative. I'm his conservator, and he has the mentality of a 12 or 13-year-old. Although he's 25, they took advantage.
Statistics.
That
Yeah.
should be an enhancement. Yeah. And so they kept overlooking it and just trying to call it an overdose. And that's why drug induced
They murdered
homicide,
him.
I have to change.
Never stop
I have to
fighting.
change
Never
everything.
stop. Never stop fighting. And
No, I won't be quiet about it. And a lot of times they were trying to tell me that they'd close it in hopes that I would stop and give up. And I'm like, no, because that means, and I told them straight up, and I told the district attorney and everybody else out there that means that anyone with an autistic or disabled child can off their kid and nobody would even know it. And I just
I
straight up told him, you haven't even asked me where I was that day. You didn't even ask me anything about my child because he was found non-responsive at home and never questioned us, never looked at his room. I got into his phone, and that's how I figured out what happened to him.
Well, and
And I
also,
still have,
I'm sure you fought tooth and nail the whole time he was growing up with the school district. I have an autistic son myself who's 13. He's 6'3", probably 250 pounds. He's a big, big dude, and
they're
he's
big
in
guys.
school, and they're gonna send him away now. And like he's at that age. He's like 12, almost 13, but he has the mentality of a 6-year-old, and at the same time a 17-year-old. Looks like one. You know. So it's really hard, but I know you probably struggled his whole life with the school, them not doing the right with their IEP, them not doing right with school, and what's going on with your kid. I know I do, and then and getting at that age, and it's like they need to look at that as if somebody's not meant, just like they do if somebody's mentally I'm trying to think the right word, but I'm gonna say retarded. I know there's a better word. Sorry, my fault.
Yeah, they struggle with
Mental challenge.
education.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
there's
struggle with education.
Yeah.
but a lot of them get taken advantage of, beaten up, stolen from, and they investigate that, but they're not looking at other people with mental illnesses and how things are happening. And like if things are suspicious, like their stuff's stolen, and they're like that right there should be number one. Like, this is there might be some foul play here.
That's exactly why they
Well,
reopened it, because it got a second look by a different perspective. And he briefly talked to me, and he said it should have never been closed because he had autism, number one. Secondly, he was conserved. And thirdly, I had all the Cash App transactions that were submitted to them. And it
Right.
obviously isn't, it's not an accident, it's not something that he would have done. So I just wanted to let you guys know that. I talk about it with a passion because it is so important to talk to little kids when they're 9, because peer pressure starts when they're 10, and they need to know how to handle that peer pressure. Like, oh, just try it. And their kids are evil. They'll look and they're like, watch what happens. And next thing you know, somebody's dead. And it's
No,
so important
they're growing up
for
so
people
fast.
to know, do
Like
not eat,
they're becoming adults
drink.
at 10. They are.
Yes,
Kids
do
are.
not eat or drink anything. Don't let people convince you to do something that you're not comfortable with, and never ever take anything that you didn't bring from home.
Right. Don't set your cup down. Nothing.
Don't say
And
your
like
cup.
Too.
write about something, never stop fighting. Like what I do is I'll go in and I'll read all the laws about things, and like and just like but I'll say that back to them, like you my son's probation officer, and they get so pissed off because I'm like, you told me you were going to tell me 3 different facilities, and then you just assigned my son to one. I said I want to know how many kids were in a bedroom, how long there's visiting. He's never been away from home. He's autistic. I need to know because the court ordered him sent away because he's missed so much school. They just assign it, and they're so mad at me. I'm like, I'm gonna appeal the decision, but because I looked up the laws and know what I'm talking about, when I text them, is you got to know you're right. You got to look into them. There's like so many, but you got to go down those rabbit holes, and you got to keep searching and do whatever you can.
How old is your son now?
He's
How old is
about.
your son now?
I'll be 13 in April.
Okay, well, let me let you know what happened with my son when he was 19. He wasn't in school, but the court ordered him to a rehab because they believed he had addiction issues. And I said, I understand that, but he's mostly home, and he's never away from home. So when you're on the spectrum and you have autism, sending them to an unfamiliar place is a huge mistake.
That's what I worry about.
So
Mhm.
the
I
only facility that would take my
I
son
don't
was
like I don't know if you did, but I don't have parents like that took me stuff. night more. He's only been away from home like 2 nights his whole life. One was with his older brother, which is for my first marriage, who is 23. And the other time is one time with my dad, who I don't talk to at all. Like, I don't talk to my parents at all. But so he's always been with mom or dad. So it's going to be such a strange thing for him.
And
It's a
yeah,
hard
and so
adjustment for an
what
autistic
happens,
child. Yes.
yes, and what happens in their head, this is what happens in their head. And no two autistic children think alike, but they're very similar. As soon
Right.
as the only place it could take him for 30 days, like the court wanted, was in Southern California, which was about 400 miles away. So we drove him
Wow.
there per court order. And then they call us and they said, after we got home, and said, hey, your child's sitting on the roof and we
Yeah.
can't get him down. And I said, what do you mean he's sitting on the roof? He doesn't want to come in. He doesn't want to stay here. He doesn't know. He's saying he doesn't know anybody and he thinks that someone's going to hurt him. They couldn't get
Scared.
him down.
Yeah.
They finally got him in. Then he took his suitcase and walked off. And they said, well, they're allowed to walk off. I said, not if they're conserved. He's
Right.
not vulnerable. And so they called the police. And mind you, this is 400 miles away. I said, I'm going to start coming over there. I'm going to pick him up because I'm going to go back to court and say, he's autistic. He cannot just be in an environment where it's total strangers. So rethink that.
See, you done better than
So,
me because I would have put my foot in somebody's ass.
yeah, but I was 400 miles away. And let me
Honestly,
tell you, what he did, they did call the police and they said, does he know anyone out here? And I said, look at the nearest convenience store because he'll just find where people go in and out. He feels safer because there's people and he'll just
Yeah.
sit. And that's the first place they went to, was the nearest convenience store. He was sitting right there. So they're very concrete. You know what they're going to do. They're pretty predictable. And I brought them back and they realized that there's something bigger going on than what I've been trying to tell them. But, sometimes it takes that much for the courts to listen.
I know it makes me feel like sometimes, and like his dad always says, "I don't care." I even talked to, he talked to his program officer that he's on for something stupid from years ago. Like, you can just take him out of state. They can't do nothing. It's just for truancy. Something's going on at the school, and I know, but he doesn't, communicate about it. So you don't know exactly what it is, but I know it's like bullying. And I know it's because he's wearing only all black for the last 4 years, and he's bigger than everybody else, a lot bigger at 6'3", and doesn't say anything. But he just absolutely does not want to be there. But sending him out of home, I don't think is the best solution. And I've been trying to fight with these people, and I feel like I'm to the point where I'm about to just take off out of state with them, and they can't do shit. Like, because I've fought with them for so long and with like legal stuff. Well, now, and I know if I don't give them what they want, they can't tell me. They want me to have them an evaluation. They want his insurance card. They want this. Like, if I refuse to give them this stuff, you know, like, and at the same time, I'll say, well, maybe he'll learn his lesson to behave better and go to school if I do this. But like, that's being systematic, and obviously there's something wrong. If he doesn't want to be there, he absolutely will not
Right.
go there.
Something is bothering him there. I
Right.
have an autistic nephew. He is about 6 now, and he didn't talk. He didn't talk at all. Last time I seen him, he was 4, and he didn't speak. So he couldn't tell anybody anything. He couldn't even tell anybody if they was hurting him. I mean, nothing. And I also used to babysit a deaf mute diabetic boy, and he didn't talk. He did talk to the other kids, maybe his mom, but he didn't talk to nobody else. And you just never know. So with an autistic child, in my opinion, sometimes you can tell if you just sit and listen or watch, you know what I mean? So, I mean, these people have to have some kind of common sense, which they don't seem to nowadays. But they're just like, they're so quick to make somebody a statistic or say, oh, they're just a drug addict or whatever. And, they don't care about the homeless people. I was one of those homeless people for damn near 3 years, and they don't care. There's nowhere to sleep. There's nowhere to pitch a tent. There's nowhere to stay. They uproot you every 2 seconds. If the park rangers aren't on you for being on the bike path, then the cops are on you for being in the grass. And it's just crazy. And it's so easy to get high out there, and it keeps you warm. It helps you get through your day. Sometimes it keeps you from being scared, whatever. And I'm not trying to go off topic, but I wanted to state this. My old man is 39 years old now. When he was 21, he was a drug addict, and he robbed his uncle. And they pressed charges, and they put him in prison for 10 years. Instead of getting him drug addiction help, they locked him up for 10 years, and it really did a number on his mind. It still affects him. He still seems institutionalized. But when these guys are coming out of prison, there is no help for them. Very few and far between. They might give you a little bit of housing and whatnot. But just like with the rehabs, the probation officers, they're ordering you to go here, ordering you to go there. It's not going to help if they're not ready. But they've got to have options because they're still human. If you're murdering somebody or raping somebody, that's a whole different story. But because you're a drug addict and you broke into somebody's house or something stupid,
or driving without a license, or DWI, or like a drug crime, or a burglary, like a lot of my friends are going through that, and they've been living in these shelters and programs, but they only allow them sometimes for a few months. Luckily, if they're lucky, they get one for 67. They have a chance to get an apartment. But that kind of gives them false hopes because that's really far in between. Like with the limited ability of housing for homeless and helping people, like they like to say, there's a lot of, but there is not. Like they'll use anything, like, oh, you got into a fight with your, nope, you kicked out. Or I have so many friends like Jose that was on here a while ago that's been in and out of all these different placements and everything, trying to get his life together, but he'll get kicked out for reading an argument with somebody or something stupid. Just like they find the littlest thing to do that before you reach that end goal of what they promised. There needs to be more help for people. There needs to be more compassion and, doing the
more than so that they care. Like we say, they're just as normal, and they're no different than we are. And I'm a mental health person myself. I have like 6 or 7 mental disorders, and everybody says, "Oh, you're crazy," but you know what? We are the normal ones because we're just the normal ones. Our IQs are higher, and we seem to be a lot smarter. But everybody's something, but everybody's human, and they mean something. You know what I mean? They mean something to somebody, whether it's you or somebody else. They mean something to somebody. You can't just shun them away because they're an addict or because they stole from you. I mean,
they're different, and they didn't exactly what they told me. It might have been the black sheep of their family or whatever. Or, some people are born into better families, and they can't understand because they've never been through situations, and they can't put the shoe on the other foot. And it's sad because everybody needs to start doing that.
They're so judgmental, it's stereotypical, and it's ridiculous. But I experienced it was the day before or the day after my birthday, back in June. I was walking down the alley from the store with 2 of my friends, and we come upon this girl, and her eyes, I'll never forget her eyes. Her eyes looked so crazy, but she was eating dirt, like literally flopping around like a fish on the ground eating dirt. And she kept saying, she wanted something to drink. So we kept giving her water, and finally the squad and stuff came, and I don't never know what happened, but it's just something you don't forget. Like you just don't forget that. And I don't know if it has to, like, a lot of people say, oh, you don't know what to do, or, you never expect it because it's never happened to you. But when it does, you don't forget it. And that's just stick with people. At least seeing it one time should make you think, hey, I need to say something to somebody. I need to talk to somebody or pass it along because something has to be done. This is just crazy. And it's consuming the whole world. And I don't want it, like I said, to consume my grandkids or anybody else for that matter. I mean, my kids are smart enough. They know better. My kids aren't stupid. I taught them, like you said, starting at 9. I started at an early age with the whole sex thing and everything, just left certain things out that didn't need to know until they got a little bit older. But I talked to them about everything because you have to talk to your kids, and people don't. And another thing, it's the kids that are they call prissy kids or the rich kids, whatever. Their parents have no idea because they're just handing them money, but they're out there buying all kinds of dope. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like, you don't need to be honest with your kids. You need to lead by example. I actually got in a fight with my oldest son's girlfriend. He is 25 and he's in the military, and I have two sons from my first marriage, and like I said, my youngest is 12. But he was talking to me about, and his girlfriend actually was over, and I was like, I be honest with my kids. I don't lie to them, and I have real talks with them, and that's the way you need to be. I was lied to a lot, and I know that does not help kids. And you need to be truthful, and you need to teach them about how things really are in the world, and let them see certain things in order so they can avoid them. And she's like, "No, you need to lead by example. You don't tell them." And I'm like, nah,
We are a product of our own environment. Just like you said, you learned from, how you grew up. That's where I learned. I mean, every day was a party at my house, but like I told my kids, partying will always be there. It'll never, ever go away. So having the opportunity to make a life for yourself or to do something for yourself or with yourself won't be there. So do something with yourself now. If you decide you want to party later, that might be different. But this is what's going to happen. You're going to fucking die. You know what I mean? And I'm can't put it any more simpler. You do this, you're going to die. And if you don't believe me, watch the news.
Or watch like
just
TV, all the real video footage of the shit that's going on in the world that they don't talk about.
Yeah.
Like everywhere is going on every day. Yeah. I mean, and so many people getting kidnapped and sex trafficked, all this stuff they don't talk about, and the overdoses and all this. And it's like some over for 2 years, and like somebody gives them something uneven knowledgeable to them, and then they're just going to blame it on that, like we talked about, and all this stuff not being investigated. It's just crazy how much of this is going on, and they're closing their eyes to it like it's nothing. And people act like it's not a big.
Right. I just read this morning, as a matter of fact, they got a guy for human trafficking. And what he was doing was taking these vulnerable women out here, these young girls, and feeding them full of dope and stuff. And that's how they kept them in there. They got in trouble for prostitution. There was 3 of them. And they were just setting them up. And, I've heard stories. I don't know how true they are, but I've heard stories that there's houses around the West Side where they keep the girls and they keep them doped up until they send them out there. And you got all these Johns out here. And I mean, what the fuck? I bet you some dude don't tell me that I got to get out here and do this or do that, and he's going to keep me doped up because I'll slice his throat. Excuse my language. But, I'm not a bad bitch. I just don't take shit from nobody, and I damn sure didn't want I have 3 girls. Now I have 2 granddaughters, and
tell them never walk alone
at my kids.
Never walk alone at they go somewhere with a friend, because there's girls getting kidnapped from Target shit, like over like miles from the Minneapolis, St. Paul. They're going up to these way up there, and they're kidnapping these vulnerable girls and like dragging them and into their car, and then taking them or into their car, different things. And it happens, and it's happening a lot. They just don't talk about it
every day. Yes, every day, and it's crazy. And if you don't think it can happen to you, you're crazy, because it can happen to anybody. And unfortunately it does. And it's sad, but they do. They keep them doped up. They have them out here prostituting, selling their bodies, and doing, disgusting things that you should do behind closed doors with one person or whatever floats your boat. But that's, what I mean? That's supposed to be a special thing for a woman, not somebody taking it or just treating you like trash. And like, I had a family member who was stuffed in a dog's cage and made to do horrible, nasty things. And they did it to a lot of these girls, and they were so scared to speak up. And then they finally did, and they put the guy behind bars, but it's still there. That was years ago, and it's still going on, and it's getting worse. And when these girls are so doped up and out of their mind, they have no control.
too, Nikki. About a year ago, I think it was last summer, there was an incident on Sullivan. A lady ran out of the house. They had kept two ladies in a dog cage.
The
They're
movie
on
on
Sullivan, and the one girl got away. She got help. The cops, of course, came and everything.
a couple
But
of
that
them.
just happened last summer.
Yeah.
And when they went in, they found two girls, like I said, in dog cages. And the sex trafficking is so bad. It's so bad right now here in the city. Kroger's, there was a lady was shopping, and there was somebody trying to grab her baby out of the grocery cart and ran out of the store.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of that going on here. It's really bad.
Like,
Here
where
we
are
have
these people coming from? What is wrong with these people? Like, and you know what? They don't get punished. When my daughter is 25. My daughter Kesley, she's 25, and when she was about a year and a half old, a girlfriend of mine and another girlfriend, there was 5 kids in the car, got shot at by 13-year-old kids. That's like 8 counts of felonious assault or attempted murder, I would have called it. These kids got 3 counts of felonious assault. They slapped on the wrist and got off. They're not doing anything to anybody. Like, these people, they're just letting them out of jail. And when somebody needs to be in prison, keep them in there. But if they're not, let them go. Let them get a chance to rehabilitate their life before you stick them in there for 10 or 20 years, and then there's no chance when they come home. Because a lot of these people will say, well, listen, a lot of these people will say, I don't know what it's like out here, and I'm scared. I'm going to go back. And I have heard multiple, because I do have a lot of friends that's been to prison. A lot of people have said going to rehab or a program is just like being in prison. And they've spent so much time there, they don't want to go back. And that's sad. And I'm like, well, maybe the second or third time might be something different, or maybe you weren't ready then and you are now. But they say it's the same. It's like being in a prison.
They don't have. My friend, he won 3 martial art training in a class, but he's not allowed to leave the group home. And Jose isn't. And so only Tuesdays they go to the store together. That's it. He ain't allowed to leave. Like something like education class that would help. Like, how do they not let you do that? Anyway, I needed to say my opinion. Why these people that do really stuff, they're high profile cases, and they're people.
Well, they're hiring people that don't care. They're not trained properly, or they don't care or something. When my old man was in the program, they stole his suboxone.
I love y'all, and we're going to pick right back on this. Right now, we're going to take a station identification. Again, we could not do this without DJ Be Lethal. DJ Be
We love
Lethal,
you.
sir, we love you so much. Thank you for everything you do for Autumn's Way Through, for all your hard work, sir, each and every week. Everything you do, you are so appreciated, and we cannot do this without LLR, Linda's Legacy, Ohio radio stations. Do what you do, sir. We love you. We'll be right back after these short words.
Say, like, people get locked up on petty shit for so long, and then I get these long sentences, and then people do this crazy shit and they don't get shit. It just makes me mad.
Yeah. Well, you seen that girl, they said, oh, there's no drugs in there. She died at the county. She died of a fentanyl overdose, and she was just a baby. She was like 21 years old, and if I was her mom, I would have sued the hell out of us.
Somebody's daughter, somebody's granddaughter, that's sad, man.
It's very sad. Yeah, because if it was my kids, I would go to great lengths. Like, I would never hurt anybody or do anything wrong unless you fuck with my kids. That's when you get my attention, because you can do whatever you want to me. I'm grown. I can handle anything. I'm 48, and I've made it this far. But you touch my kids or my grandbabies, it's a wrap.
If society can just throw you away for a mistake and like for so long, and then like somebody who does something like more less time. I mean, what example is that of our justice system? Oh, it's so unfair.
Yeah.
There's so
And
many
Just
blind
crazy.
Mr. No Weapon, you are right, because there
Yes.
are men and boys that need to be protected, because I had 5 boys before 2 of them passed away, and I will tell you that I was always fearful of anyone grabbing them, even though they were
Yeah.
not girls, because you read a couple of stories where there's a missing boy and they think it's a runaway situation because it's a boy, he can get out of the situation. A grown person can't get out of the situation. How are you going to expect a little boy to get out of a situation?
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
but
it
it's
happens to
Drug
boys
them,
too.
and they take them to places that they don't know, they're unfamiliar, they can't tell anyone where they're at, and they keep drugging them. So it is not just
And
girls that
that
they're after.
that is
especially now. You know,
happening right
they're
here in
going into
Columbus. There is young. They look almost as teenagers, young boys that are on the street, and you can visibly tell that they are on some form of really, really horrific drug. Very thin. Some of them are dozing out. They're talking to people at cars. But this, Mr. No Weapon, thank you. Yes, we are bringing awareness. And that's why we're here doing what we do. Because so many young men, so much is placed on men, on their shoulders anyway. They are not given the credit that they deserve. A lot of men are not given the credit as they are deserved.
well
And
now.
People that are into pedophilia, they don't care if they're boys or girls. They don't care.
they
They
Well,
will
don't.
have
now
a
They go after anybody.
there's a market for
there's a
young
lot
men
of
because
Human.
there's so
And
many
that,
closet weirdos that like want to take young boys, and they do, and
yes,
that like we're at the street, and like I said, like my son being 12, looking like he's 17, even if we go to the carnival or fair, like other kids are like fucking with him, like thinking he's that age, even though he's an autistic 12-year-old, and like people don't know, but even like these kids are getting fouled on the street. You can't even kids go play outside. It's really fucking sad these days. Like,
See,
sorry, excuse me.
with my son, I was always afraid of child trafficking. I would have never thought that fentanyl would kill him, because he was so vulnerable and he would go off on his skateboard. And I thought, okay, I need to be mindful of child trafficking. Never thought that someone in the neighborhood that I know on top of that, that is very familiar with our family, would give him fentanyl. Never dreamt it in a million years.
You just
yes,
you don't
Mr. No
expect it.
Weapon, you are correct, Mr. No Weapon. Even babysitters, um, yes, you have to look at every single thing. That is
You
so,
can't trust
so
anybody
true.
nowadays.
No, you cannot. You cannot. And there is so, people would be alarmed at the cases that are about young boys. And there are so,
Hmm.
so many that are missing, that are sex trafficked. And right now, it's almost as many women as young men that are being sex trafficked at this time.
Yeah.
Columbus, like I said, it is bad. It is very bad.
Yeah, it's
It's
very bad
very bad.
there. It's very bad a lot of places, but there's a whole underground network of it. And I could go into conspiracy, but I'm not going to do that. And there's
There's no such thing as conspiracy, because you know what? When we were watching, and I don't know how old everybody else is, when we were watching Star Trek, all that shit came true. They put the thing in your ear and they know your temperature. The flip phones, they have the phaser, they have the phasers, now they have the tasers. It's not a conspiracy theory when you have that feeling as a parent. You're not being a conspiracy theorist. You're being a safe mom. We are very well aware of the government and the things that they can do and have the capability of doing and the capability of controlling.
and then they
It's no
so
secret.
when we really talk about it like this, though, they attack us. Is the thing that I can't get over because whenever I speak my mind, I go under attack. I feel like mentally and my health wise more when I
Well,
speak
they think
about.
you're a crazy mom. They told me I was a crazy mom. I live in a cul-de-sac, and I want to address Mr. No Weapon. I live in a cul-de-sac, and there was a kid that was in his 20s that Merrick would play video games with, and his mama fell in love with my son, which is the same age as her son. And was unaware, thinking that he was playing video games. And I thought to myself, because he kept talking to and mentioning the lady's name on the phone, and I was trying not to be nosy. And then I finally confronted my son. He goes, "Well, Mom," and he's very naive. He doesn't know that that's inappropriate.
That's
And I will
freaking.
tell you, I started doing exactly what Mr. No Weapon said. I started examining that, and come to find out the lady worked for Dignity Health on top of that. So I got authorities involved because he had a disability, and ended up getting a restraining order, and she bounced before it could be served. She ended up losing her job because I'm not going to stop. I found out where she worked, and this is something to always be aware of where your kids are at. You can't really tell them what to do after 18, but if they're conserved, I sure in the hell could. And it's just sickening when I think about it. And the lady
Like,
knew better.
you know that there's a lot of women predators. Like how many teachers? I don't know how many teachers I've heard about that like molested their students that were in their 20s, and students were 12 and 13. Like here in this state, in Minnesota, and I know it happens in every state. And it goes on everywhere. Like people take advantage of people whose minds are like different, and people that are narcissistic and controlling are easily able to try to manipulate and control people, and it's just sad. Not necessarily we're male or female. There's a lot of people, other people.
And I can tell you what made me really suspicious is because I could hear him arguing, because it's in a cul-de-sac. I could hear him arguing. And when he came home one time, he had these little circles on his arms, and she had burned them with a cigarette. And she wouldn't come out because, let me tell you, I was ready to go to jail. I was ready to go to jail. And I was like, you know what? Somebody better start taking jail money, because you don't do that to my child, let alone my disabled child. But
From the back, I would have been in there fucking begging that bitch on the floor. You missed all, sorry. This is what I would do if it was my child. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine.
it makes me wonder what the hell is wrong with him, he was bullied, he went through that, he went through a lot of things, and still, when he ended up getting poisoned by this carfentanil, they thought, okay, it's all the stuff that he went through. Then they had to rule out suicide, because he was saying, "Hey, Mom, do my hair when you get home, and don't forget my slippers." And then he dies that day. That he says, "Don't forget my slippers." So it wasn't anything like that. He always forgets the prior day. Like, today's a new day. He's always in the moment. So it's one of those things that I'm never going to give up on. Talking about his situation, this person that I know that said, "I'm sorry, I had carfentanil. I'm sorry this happened." He wrote me in a text, and I just said, he needs to go to jail. He needs to go to jail, and I'm not going to stop until it happens. Until I stop.
Exactly. And I'm standing right beside of you, and anything I can do to help you,
I will too.
you know
Definitely.
what we can do.
Yeah, we
We
have to
will
band
not
together as
stop.
parents, mothers, sisters. Yes, we're all God's children, and we got to stick together. We have to form the nation. We have to stick together and just help each other. So that is something I would definitely help you with. Most definitely, because I couldn't imagine, and I am very sorry you had to experience. I buried my first daughter, and she was on. It was the same day I had her. She only lived a half hour, but
I'm so
I couldn't
sorry.
imagine what you mothers have gone through, Miss Peggy. I mean, I feel for both of you. You have my prayers.
It's
Thank you,
hard.
my sister, and I'm sorry.
Losing a child has to be so hard. I don't even want to imagine. Like, I don't want my mind to ever go to that dark place. I think you women are so strong, and I admire you
Thank
so
you.
much out here and talking to everyone else and helping everyone else after what you've been through, and trying to help others to avoid that. Like, it's just not the thing, and I appreciate it so much.
Thank you. We appreciate you being on here and telling your story and
Yes.
being honest. Because a lot of people are too embarrassed or, they're ashamed, and you shouldn't be.
Right?
We don't trust anybody.
Be honest and open and a true real human being and yourself, and don't think you're better than anyone else or judge anyone else, and treat everyone with kindness. That's what I say.
Hmm.
I agree.
I do too.
If they step sideways, then you can like say something sarcastic to them and they can get mad or something. It's kind of funny. Or you can be like I like to be an asshole. The only one's an asshole to me, but I am generally usually a sweetheart. Sometimes when I'm drunk, I'll like joke around and people take things seriously. But usually pretty nice. And I think everybody should be nice and forgiving and kind. Like I forgive my friends. I get in fist fights with my friends. Like that's how I was growing up. What happened to them where people are like, "Oh, I'm gonna get you and kill you," and all this crazy stuff. It's like forgive and go on. We're all human. We all do dumb things. We all say stupid things, or people take things the wrong way. Just like show another human kindness and love and caring.
That's so true. That's so true. Thank you so much.
Hmm.
I just wanted to tell you ladies too, if you ever just want someone to talk to, I'm always available because I talk a lot. But it's nice to have a good conversation and on an intelligent level and about something important.
Well, that's why
Yes.
we created the group, but we haven't really used it that much. Like, because I've been off Facebook for a month. Like, I don't know, but there's still a lot of people in there, but I don't know if anybody really talks in there. Peggy, you would let me
I'm not a
know.
big Facebook warrior, but I have a telephone. But
Hmm.
the group is good too. It's nice to just vent sometimes. And, for us women,
Yes.
we can go to each other and vent. And men like a lot bitching, but we know it's just venting. So,
Well, men
only
vent
men.
too. That's so fair to say. Men have to vent too, but they do it in other
Yeah,
ways.
right, right.
And
Yeah,
our men are the ones that really, really need someone to
yeah,
talk to. They really need their brothers to reach out to them and say, "Hey, how are you doing today? What are you doing today? You just want to kick it for a little bit or something," because that is very,
yeah,
very important. And we always encourage, if you have a male friend and you call them your friend or your brother, pick the phone up and call them. You don't have to have a 3 hour conversation. Sometimes just checking in, saying hello. Sometimes that's all it takes. Um,
yep.
it just really is just checking and letting people know that you're there and that you love them.
They're
It's
human
really
just like we
what
are.
it's about. Yes. And men, what's so sad in our society is that men, or from early on, are taught it's not okay to cry. I'm
Right.
sorry, that is a
Very
human
prideful.
emotion. That is a human emotion.
And
Right.
I think it's
And,
admirable if a
and
man
I
can
think,
cry. It shows that
yes,
he
I
has
think that,
real heart.
yes, and I think that they should be able to cry when they feel, and I don't think the society should put down their throats they shouldn't cry because that's what they're feeling. That is a human, real emotion.
Yeah,
That is
not
a
just because they're
hurt.
angry.
That is hurt. Yes, that's hurt or anger.
Mhm.
And,
Yeah.
you know, it's just having that friendship, that network, just knowing that you're there, no matter what time of day or night, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, it doesn't matter. Just be
Yeah,
there, and
because
that's
men are
sometimes
prideful and they
all
don't have
it
to
takes.
be.
There shouldn't be a
And
stigma
at
of
this
that men
time,
don't have emotion, like or
family,
men don't cry.
family, I love y'all. Family, at this time, we do have to take a station identification break. Anyone, if you'd like to support the station, please cash app. That is $ DJB Lethal at LLC Cash App to support the station. Any and all proceeds help the station to keep it going
Is
because
the
there
light
is,
on?
as everyone knows, there is a cost, to keep the lights on. It is a big building. And we're just saying, anyone, $1, $5, $10, 20, whatever. If you would just like to help the station out, the Cash App is always running at the bottom of the station as well. So anyone that would like to help there as well, it is greatly, greatly appreciated. We are here every Tuesday night. Thank you, DJ B Lethal. This is our 3rd year, and we are going strong. I could not
Yay.
The
without you,
soundboard
sir.
out.
I love you,
You gotta
and
get the
I'm just
soundboard out.
blessed.
But B Lethal needs to get the soundboard out, so like when you say that, he can do the yay clap in the background. Like I got a
You
soundboard.
too.
Oh, he's got all of that stuff.
Yeah,
Yes, he
see? Why can't
does.
we going on?
Got
Again,
a
the
real
Cash
good
App
guy.
is $ DJ B Lethal
Yeah,
LLC Cash App to support.
We need our
And
guy to
again,
come back out, Mr. B Lethal.
It's your boy DJ BB coming from the 614,
There we
repping it
go.
no matter what the zip code.
This is pretty.
Stop radio. You did. I know you could.
It's
Yeah,
loud.
I will here, so.
I love it. Thank you.
Oh,
Made me think of life
that
serious.
as shout out to our blend squad for doing what they do. And that is the Grand Turns. And we just love them. They are absolutely adorable. And they're always being creative as well. I truly just want to thank everyone for always being here with us, for supporting Autumn's Way, for every share, for everything that everyone does, in the fight of addiction and finding justice for everything that when someone, just like Miss Cole just said, when someone thinks they are buying something, they're getting something else. It's fake. It is death, and that's what is happening. And that's, we're here every week. We are, and we will continue to bring awareness, and we will continue to fight addiction any and every way that we possibly can. We're letting everyone know that you are not alone in the struggle of of just being out there, just being in the street, being alone. Anyone, if you want into a clinic and you are here in the Columbus area, if you would like to go into the Portsmouth Counseling Center, please contact me on Facebook, and we will get you there ASAP. There are 200 beds available. And at this time, we would like to put out the domestic violence hotline number as well. It is 800-799-7233. Again, that is the National Domestic Violence Hotline number. Anyone, please, if you are in a domestic relationship, please know that you do not have to stay in a domestic relationship.
Male,
There is
female, 'cause
help.
men are
There
beat
is
up
help.
too. Men
There
get
is
beat
help.
up.
Yes, there is help. There is help. Anyone that is dealing with a suicide, mental health, suicide thought, please, please, please call 988. That is the National Suicide Hotline number. Someone will answer the phone. They will be there. They will send you help. They will get you help. Again, that number is 988. And again, the National Domestic Violence Hotline number is 800-799-7233. I
Would they
truly
help
just
me?
really,
I'm just kidding.
yes, they would help you. Yes.
I need it.
If you
I'm
call
crazy.
90, that's all right, baby. But if you call and you need something, look, we're going to pick up
I'm
the
just a little
phone.
crazy from what I hear.
I know,
That's
sister,
all
but
right. Those are
look,
good kind of crazy.
that's it's always good.
Crazy with a K
Yeah.
is what I call it. There's a by name. This is a K, so
Yep.
I'm always like, this is a K is crazy. The C is the
I
bad.
am just human.
That's all we are. We are one. We are one. We bleed as one on this planet.
We should love each other.
And,
We should help each other.
we
We should
just have
build
to
each other up. We need to fucking pick each other up, build each other up, help each other out, because it comes around sevenfold. Even as Jesus said, whatever you do,
The Galactic Federation of Planets. People want to make people more peace for our people. You know the chance for the pay for the kid. Ah, crap! What?
seriously, what goes in comes around. We give our hearts to people. We help people. We love people. We care about people. We do what we can. We give up. If we know we have something and somebody else doesn't, you give to them. Like, I was in a bad part of Minneapolis where there's a lot of things under the freeway and all the way down the street. And, like, we went in because we were going to a weed shop there when, like, marijuana for recreational and license shit started a few years ago. But anyways, like we went there and we went to a Jimmy John's. We had two brand new sandwiches. This one was like, "Can I get some money? I'm really hungry." And we gave her the sandwiches. Like whatever. We can just go get new ones. Like if you can give something to somebody, like I've given so much money to people just to help them. I don't like when they block me because they're being buttholes about it. Like if you can't pay me back, just say it. Or like I just don't like when people lie and the deceivers and there's so many scammers. It's hard to tell, but there are people that really need help, and a few dollars can really help them. Like keeping the lights on at the station. A few dollars can really help. Goes a long way.
Yes.
There's subscriptions. There's all
Yes.
this shit stuff. That has to go on. You know.
And of course, this is one of the things that I taught my son was that, his well-being comes first because he would help people. He would give money away, but he didn't have limits. So one of the things that I educate people of is your family first, your mental health first. Then if you have the means, go out and help.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't give what you don't.
Self-care if you're not.
It's hard
Yes.
to give from an empty cup. So get your cup at least half full, and then you can feel good about going out there, and you're not stressed when you get home saying, "Oh, now what am I going to eat?"
I
So
know exactly what you mean. My oldest, who is he's not autistic. He's ADHD, but he was borderline Asperger's, but not really because he
On the
used to
same
rock.
wavelength, and I having discrepancies.
So
But
my
he
son was
everyone
misdiagnosed. They were told he
money.
was ADHD, and he was actually Asperger's, and the ADHD medication did not help him at all.
I took my
And
son. I took my son off. And I was like, well, if you don't get in any trouble at school, we'll take you off. You just don't give me. I don't want to have to deal with the school. And he didn't until like they were drinking on the bus on the senior trip, and they passed him the ball, and they all pressured him, and he pretended to take a sip and didn't. They all got caught. They breathalyzed him. My son got 0, 0, 0 because he didn't really drink. All the other kids were, but they still charged him the same like 5 years. I was so mad about that because he wants to please everybody else. He's always been that way. He was always so giving. He would buy people stuff. He'd buy people lunch when they didn't have lunch. I'd be like, where'd all your lunch money go? You got to just refill that account. He'd always, he'd give his last dollar all the time.
what I found out is that if I knew my son could focus on his video games, he can focus on things that he was interested in. That's when it told me that he doesn't have ADHD, because somebody with ADHD cannot focus. I don't care what it is. They'll bounce around no matter what it is. Even if it's something they're interested, they'll get frustrated, put it down, and go to the next thing. And he was very focused on what he liked, very smart, very intelligent. And it was hard for me to get conservatorship because they said he's so intelligent. But I tell them, talk
Well,
to
they
him
are
for 5 minutes.
they're more
Talk to him
intelligent
for
than most
5 minutes.
people. It's the thing. They are smarter
They
than
talk
most
to him.
people, and
Yeah,
that's
they
why people.
talked to him for 5 to 10 minutes, and then they realized that he was definitely,
Well, yeah,
he
they
had
give them an IQ
Asperger's.
test. If they give a person with like an extreme like ADHD or Asperger's or any of this stuff an IQ test, they score so much higher than the average person in certain areas under in others. Their brain just works different, and that's what they need to
It's just
understand.
different.
His
And
brain does
and
not.
so our approach to their education and how we talk to them are different. Like, I found myself talking to him like, "Hey, you're always so good about picking up your shoes. Do you think you can do that?" And he's happy to do it. He wants to please. If I say, "Look at your shoes. Can't you pick them up?" I have to tell you every day. Then he just doesn't do it. He just shuts down, and
Yeah.
that's it. It's fine.
If I'm like, why the
So
hell did you leave this mess here? Why did you throw this dirty paper towel here? They'll just be like, but if I do say something like in the tone, a whole different message. It's weird.
hey, do you think you can pick that up? Yeah, it's different. They're just wired different, that's all.
Help me. I'm like, do you think you can help me pick this up really quick? You know, like, let's pick this up really quick. Then it's a different reaction. But if I'm mad about it and crabby, which is hard not to be sometimes when I see a huge mess somewhere,
And I had my
like,
hands full because 4 out of my 5 boys are on the spectrum, so I had to learn a lot. It was
I,
an educational thing for me, and I had to learn. So here I am, 2 kids down, and you
I
know,
can't.
I
And
like
I'm so sorry for your loss. And I hope they are resting in peace and they're still looking on and helping you and what you're doing and helping so many people just by speaking. So I think
that's
that's
exactly why I'm here, because I feel like they're driving me. They give me the energy and the passion to do what I do, because I can talk about the mental health aspect. I've been there through different programs. They got kicked out of different programs. It's just different things that I could share that I had to do to get them to where they needed to be, until somebody else takes it upon themselves to take their lives. So I can honestly say that I did my best, even to the point of conservatorship. I mean, I had to let him go outside. I couldn't,
no.
imprison him at home. But,
You have to give
things,
them free will. Yeah.
yeah, it's just
And
hard to explain.
yeah, because you always want to have a watchful eye and especially when you know that what's going to out there and what they're thinking. But well, at the same time, you have to give them free will. They're going to resent you so much for that, and that's really hard. I
Right.
can not even imagine. And then like and losing 2 children, like and then and Peggy too. Like I can't imagine. We all go
Yeah.
through hard times and tributes as parents and this and that, but we can't take any day for granted. And like it's never too much. Like just don't ignore it or just be too stressed out and not deal with things. Like whatever we can do to figure out to help our children, to keep our children safe, keep everyone else safe, and like help everybody else. I think that's what we all need to do.
Right.
That's
No, you're 100% right. You're 100% right.
That's why we continue doing what we do. We're just never going to stop. It's energy we have, and it's passion and love. And, when we leave this earth, well, that's all we're going to leave is love. Our loved ones, that's what they have to give us. And that is the most important thing on the planet is love. It cannot be bought. I mean, you can buy it, but love, true love, is given.
Excuse us.
There
Like,
is no
we finished.
reason. There's no rhyme. It is just love, and that's what we're giving, and that's what we are leaving. You know, and that's what we express. Love your loved ones a little bit longer. Turn the music up. Dance with them as much as you can. Savor and take in every single moment you have, because we never know when our journey back home may be. You know, we never know what someone is going through, what they're struggling with. People with a smile on their face, you will think, oh, all is well with them. They're so happy. You know, because people are struggling, they want people, happiness. People are always in search of it. And sometimes it will never be found. But you know what? It's right in front of you. If you just
Yeah.
open up your eyes and look around, you have to make and create your own happiness. No one's going to bring a gift box to the door and say, here's your present, here's your happiness for the day. We must create life, because we only get one time around in this life. And that's why I say love who you love and love them unconditionally. Turn the music up, dance, have family memories, those Thanksgivings and Christmases. Oh, you don't want that family member there because they're doing this or that. It's all, fighting with so many. And pick up the phone and call them. In some way, not all amends can be amended, if that makes any sense.
It does, and it
But
please
there's
be
too much
compassionate and
hate.
kind,
There's-
because kindness is free. Kindness is totally
yes,
free.
yes. And that's why we're here every Tuesday night, just to spread hope, just to give someone hope and let
No
them
matter.
know that they are truly not alone. There is help. Reach out to us through Facebook. I am always available. You can always send a message. If I don't answer, I'll get right back with you. Again, I am Miss Peg, and we are Autumn's Way Through, helping others from Columbus, Ohio. Miss Cole, I thank you so much for being here. I am so sorry for your loss of your sons. And it was not by accident, that we met. I just know that when my phone rang, it was meant for me to answer it. Me and Chrissy, we have so many friendships that we meet, and so many, with Charlie, our beautiful big C that is with us. He's awfully quiet tonight, but he is with us, and he's been, but he is always with us. And Charlie is one of our ambassadors here at Autumn's Way. He has always been. I love you, Charlie, for always just being with us. Your moral support, your loving. I just love you. We love you. And yes,
And
we just want you to know, Charlie, I love you so much. Truly, you are my brother on this earth. I see Redeem is with us as well. We are just here trying to help, and I truly am so grateful for each and every one, for everything y'all do in the fight against addiction. Since I lost Autumn 11 years ago and finally come to my senses 8 years ago, people say, oh, oh my goodness, she's got a lot of energy. Like, oh my gosh, you don't never shut up. Da, da, da. Some people don't like my energy because I am a lot, but you know what? I'm a whole vibe. I know who I am. I know my worth when I sit down at any table,
what you're so
and all I'm doing is bringing love, compassion, and I'm never going to stop. I'm never going to stop talking about addiction. Like Miss Nikki said, she's one of our ambassadors as well. We have lost and we are losing too many at an alarming rate. You know, all we can do is keep talking about it, keep making a movement, and keep doing what we're doing. We are building communities and networks in every city and state, and we're never going to stop. Excuse me. And at this time, everyone, we're going to go down the line. And please, if you want to do any shout outs, tell everyone how they can find you. Charlie, I love you, and I thank you always again for being with us. You know, and I always want to send out autumn angel hugs and love to everyone. And I hope that your angel comes and visits you in your dreams, you know, and just know we're passing through this earth, and our loved ones left their love for us to lead and guide us through this earth. I know it's hard. I know that there's days and there are moments that you don't want to get up and you don't want to move and you don't want to do nothing. And you know what? Sometimes all you can do is just breathe, and that's okay. But please get up, please get up, please every day just get up and know that you can make a difference in someone's life. Just
No matter
please
what
know,
you believe
don't give
in,
up.
no matter what you believe in, it's a spiritual war. No matter how you look at it, what you believe in, what your higher power is, there's
That's right.
always be negativity that
It's
attacks
on.
you. Fight against it, and you have to stay spiritually stronger. And that's with everything.
Yes. Yes. So everyone, if you'd like to say something, if you'd like to say hello to your angel, because we do that as well here at Autumn's Way. You know, we always say our angels' names. Um, and we do a lot here, and we're never going to stop. Like I said, our third year here, being live with LLR, Linda's Legacy Ohio radio stations. We are on the Tattoo Shop Radio. Please download the Zeno app and download and look for the Tattoo Shop Radio. Everyone down the line who's got something to say, we love y'all and thank y'all for always being with us.
Well, I guess I'll start. My
Okay.
name is Merica Cole, and you'll find me at druginducedhomicide.org. I am a advocate for addiction. I'm an advocate for finding loved ones answers when their loved ones die, and just trying to get fentanyl off the street and other illicit drugs that are killing people. And I am from Sacramento, California, but I advocate across all the states.
Experience. You're not somebody with just a PhD talking to people about it. You're somebody who's had real life experience that wants to help others, and that's why I totally commend you, Miss Peggy, all of you who have lost somebody and are going through hard times. Like you're doing what you can to help others so they don't go through what you did and save lives. You know.
And
Thank
Chrissy
you.
is one of our ambassadors as well. My baby sister here. I love you. I pray for you. I lift you up to our higher creator. You are so beautiful. I love you, my sister. You know from day one. I'm always here for you, my love.
I know that's why you're always in my life, and I appreciate everything you do, and I want to support everything you do anyway.
And I thank you for coming here, Chrissy, and sharing everything that you share, because I know what you say as well as the whole panel. Someone needs to hear what is being said, and
Right.
together
As
we're
many as
just
attack
helping.
us, right? As many as who attack us for what we say and try to bring us down to keep us quiet, there's 10 more we can help by what we say or show the
Yes.
love to. So you got to remember that. Like, if somebody really brings you down and they make you, or they like try to put you on blast, whatever the hell they do for something stupid that you said, your honest opinion, like you're talking to so many other people and helping them with so many things and helping them see things. You know, just words can do so much to help somebody, being there for somebody, talking to them, answering their messages, and you know.
You're so right about that. You know, my theory is if I could save one life, um, with anything that I say. If I can save one life, it's worth it.
And you
I'm not
know,
one to be.
that's what I say too. Mika, that's what I say all the time. If we save one, that is 1,000 families that will not feel this pain. And we're just going to continue doing what we do. And I thank you so much for being with us, for sharing, for networking, for doing everything that you do. It means, well, my sister in this world, you know what it means.
I do. I
And that's,
absolutely do.
yes. And we were never stopping. Never. Redeem, sir, would you like to say anything and add anything? Maybe not. DJ Be Lethal, sir, we love you. Would you like to add anything at this time, sir?
Well, you know me. I just want to thank everybody for coming out. Thank all the listeners for listening and everyone that helps us go forward. And you, Miss Peggy knows what this means.
I feel it. I feel it.
We love you, Miss Linda. I love you. Good night, family. Y'all have a blessed until next Tuesday night. We'll be right here. We will be right here next Tuesday night. Anyone, if you need a tattoo, please go to 224 West Johnson Street in Upper Sandusky, Ohio, and get rammed. Wonderful, beautiful tattoos, personal. If you have your own tattoo or something you want created, please go to 224 West Johnson Street in Upper Sandusky, Ohio, and get rammed.
Nice shout out. I'm a little far away, but hey, if I'm ever in the Ohio area, I might consider that.
Anytime, my lady, anytime. I've got a couple that need some work, so we can go get at that. Yes, I'm going to be going to visit very soon. Again, we want to just thank everyone and good night. Y'all stay blessed. Autumn, angel hugs and love. And to everyone, please check on anyone that you know that is struggling.
So compassion and love. Much love, everybody. Good night.
Good night, family.
Shop Radio. You did. I knew you could.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to Healing with Miss Peggy. Miss Peggy. Miss Peggy.
It's your boy DJ B. Coming from the 614. Repping that up. No matter what the zip code. On the Tattoo Shop Radio. You did. I knew you could.
What up, people?
What's up, DJ Be Lethal?
How we